Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for the Thaw, which is episode 23 of season 2 of Star Trek Voyager. This video is a part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Star Trek as requested by my viewers. This video was requested by Alex Carr. So the Thaw is the episode in which Voyager journeys to a planet that has been devastated by a natural disaster, and they find a group of survivors in a state of hibernation along with an automated message that indicates they were meant to wake up 4 years ago. So they beam the stasis pods aboard and investigate and discover the three survivors' minds are active and they could leave whenever they want, but they don't. So they send Harry, Kim, and B'Elanna Torres into the stasis into the artificial environment to investigate. There they discover the survivors are being held captive by a clown that was created by their collective fears. The clown doesn't want the survivors to leave stasis because if they do, the creations created by the program will cease to exist. He threatens to kill the survivors if Harry and B'Elanna leave, which he does by beheading them in the program, which causes a fatal heart attack. Eventually, the clown lets B'Elanna leave so she can send Janeway a message to not shut down the program, otherwise the hostages will die. Janeway then sends the Doctor in to negotiate, who can do so without the risk to himself. After a failed rescue attempt in which the clown killed one of the hostages, Janeway gives the clown an ultimatum where she'll risk brain damage to the survivors and shut down the program unless the clown agrees to let the hostages go in exchange for herself. The clown agrees to this, however, Janeway tricks the clown into believing she's in hibernation when she really isn't, and instead sent in a holographic image of herself. Thus, once the hostages have woken up, Janeway leaves the program, thus ending the simulation and the clown's life. So I'll be honest, upon rewatching this episode for this review, I enjoyed this episode a lot more than I did in the past. I'm not sure why I looked on this episode a lot more favorably now than I did in the past. Might have something to do with how I watched this episode out of context and I wasn't comparing it to the other episodes of season 2. Or perhaps it's because I've recently seen what a great actor Michael McKean is in Better Call Saul, where he gives an amazing performance, and that makes me appreciate him a lot more in this episode. And I realize he gives an amazing performance as the clown in this episode as well. I think when I first saw this episode, I looked on it as an excuse to get a great guest star like Michael McKean, and I looked at it from that perspective, but I find now, judging it on its own merits, I appreciate it a lot more. This was a really well-constructed and well-acted, high-tension thriller. I like the concept of an environment meant to be amusing and entertaining being turned into a place of horror, and I think there's no better representation of that than a circus environment, which is meant to be entertaining but can appear quite frightening. In particular, clowns, in which many people are afraid of and can come off as really frightening. And Michael McKean's clown in particular is a very interesting adversary that's kind of similar to Q with his twisted sense of humor and his position of power. However, the clown is a much more menacing character who really raised attention. And plus you had these other circus characters, particularly that giant scary looking monster thingy. Yeah, in particular he was quite scary. I also particularly love the Doctor in this episode. You have to remember in season 2 the Doctor still could not leave sickbay or the holodeck and thus didn't appear as much in the show as he did in later seasons. So he didn't really have a chance to shine that often. I thought his interactions with the clown here were particularly a high point of the episode, as because he wasn't trapped in the program like Harry Kim was, he was able to go toe to toe with the clown. I particularly like the scene where the Doctor gives the clown an ultimatum that they'll shut down the program and risk brain damage unless he agrees to the terms, and he counts down from 60 seconds and he keeps counting down while he's talking. That was such a badass and a great Doctor moment. And at the end of the episode, it was awesome as well. As I said, the whole structure of the episode was perfect as it goes, has its ups and downs, and raises the stakes when one of the survivors die, and then ups it again when the doctor presents Janeway's ultimatum. But to see her actually pull off the facade and trick the clown was equally as satisfying, as Janeway's hologram talks to the clown and reveals he's been fooled and is about to die. It was just so awesome, especially the last few moments of the episode where the clown says, "I'm afraid," and she responds by saying, "I know," right before he dies. That was so badass and the perfect way to end the episode. Okay, so now that I've explained how much I love this episode, I'm afraid now's the time where I have to get into what holds this episode back a bit for me. And the biggest thing that I had a problem with ever since the first time I saw it, and it still bothers me a bit to this day, is how the clown is meant to be the representation of fear, because I just don't really buy him as pure fear. He's more of a Joker type character rather than pure fear. So every time Janeway would go on and on about these rants about fear and what does fear want and how to conquer fear, I found it a bit corny and I didn't really like it. But that was my one main complaint of this episode. However, as always, I have some nitpicks. And my biggest nitpick is that the entire planet of people, there are only 3 survivors. 3 survivors on an entire planet. Albeit, there were originally 5 survivors before the clown killed 2 of them, but still 5 survivors on an entire planet. In the episode, they even said that the planet used to have a population of over 400,000 people, and none of them could have left the planet. I think this was very poorly executed. There were tons of throwaway lines that they could have put in to alleviate this issue, but this is a reoccurring problem in Star Trek, where the crew visits like 20 people, and the crew act like those 20 people are the entire planet. And this problem was exacerbated here by pretending these 3 people were the entire planet. If only 5 people survived a disaster where there was a population of over 400,000, you think this would weigh more heavily on their minds. And why did only these 5 people survive? What made them so special? None of this was explored in the episode. And again, the only reason this bothers me so much is because this is such an easy fix. All they needed to do is one throwaway line about there being more survivors elsewhere, or perhaps saying the others did leave the planet, but these 5 had to stay behind for some reason. That's all you needed to do, but whatever. And the other thing is that these people die when the clown cuts off their heads because they're scared to death. So all they need to do to prevent this is to calm their minds and realize that the beheading isn't real, and the only thing that will kill them is their own fear. So all they need to do is not be afraid. Now, I understand that's a bit easier said than done, and it requires a level of mind control which may be beyond their abilities, but it appears to me that the same solution that they used in the original series episode Spectre of the Gun could have worked, where Tuvok could have just mind melded with them and giving them his mind control abilities so that the clown couldn't hurt them anymore, and all they would need to do is slowly disconnect from the system without have to worry about any repercussions from the clown. But on the other hand, I am really glad they didn't do that, because that would have been a bit repetitive. However, it is a plot hole that they didn't do this to begin with. And the one last thing that bothered me about this episode, while most of the dialogue and acting in this episode was superb, there was one line and the delivery of that line that really bothered me, and it felt really fake, and that's when one of the survivors was talking about the clown. He said, "We're his canvas, his blocks of marble. With us, he practices his ghastly art." I'm sorry, but that line is cheesy, and it just bothers me every time. As I said, that's just a minor complaint though. So to give my rating for this episode out of 10, in the past I would have given this episode an 8. However, as I said, watching it more recently, I appreciated it much more than I had before, so I'm going to give it a 9 excellent. This was a really well executed thrill ride filled with high tension, lots of great quirky dialogue, and magnificent acting from Michael McKean, with an ending that pays off in spades. But the thing about the clown meant to represent pure fear, I don't think worked quite as well as they hoped. And I think it would have been better had they dropped that one particular plot point, but everything else was right on point. So that's it for my review of the Thaw. If there's an episode from any of the 5 Star Trek series you'd like me to review, just leave a comment below with the episode you'd like me to review, and I'll endeavor to do so. But please, 1 episode request per person, and also be sure to check out my channel for many other Star Trek videos, as well as many other videos on shows like Game of Thrones, Fear the Walking Dead, Orphan Black, and more, and be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.